up, you beautiful collectors and action figure fans? It's the one and only Optibotimus coming at you with another video review. And on today's episode, thanks to the support of my patrons, we're going to be taking a look at the new Transformers Siege Deluxe Class COG, part of the new Transformers War for Cybertron trilogy. For the package, really cool art here as you can see on the side. Finally, Fort Max is going to have his little tank buddy to go along with him. And then you have an open window that fully showcases the figure as well as his accessories. And on the opposite side, you have that absolutely gorgeous artwork, like Optimus in the background, other characters there, and then you can see Cybertron with the arc taken off. Really very cool. On the back of the package, now this is something that's a little bit different. You can see he transforms in 8 steps, and then you got images of him in his robot and vehicle mode, but it appears, and I'm sorry, I didn't know this, but you can weaponize the figures. Specifically, sideswipe. So it appears that like parts detach, it says break apart weapons, and it can be attached to like sideswipe here. That's kind of interesting. I had no idea. Usually they have the Battlemaster thing here, but that's cool. But for the packaging on this guy, that's about it. So without further ado, let's get him out here and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have COG opened up out of his packaging and obviously in his vehicle modes. Now the thing that is fantastic about this is that this is a true homage and recreation of that original G1 character. For those of you that don't know, COG was the combined robot form of 2 little drones that hung out with Fortress Maximus. That being Gasket and Grommet. And that's what you basically have here. And both of these are terrific sort of homages to those original figures. Starting off first here with Gasket, as you can see, kind of like a little tank of sorts. I mean, both of them are kind of like little tanks, but this is a little mobile sort of weapon platform, much like this, that would go around with Fort Max and everything. So really very cool and nicely homages that original one as well. Unfortunately, as I've talked about, I am no longer living in my previous apartment. I have a new one and I haven't moved all my stuff over yet, so I can't really show you this in comparison to the original Gasket and Grommet and eventually COG as well. And I also can't show you how this can interact with Fortress Maximus, but obviously because of the size and everything, it can, and you can have this go around and you can do a little play thing like, look at me, I'm a little tank kind of going around Fort Max, blah blah blah. The only thing that I don't really see as a possibility is having like a little seated area. I guess maybe a little bit you can maybe do it, but initially you could take Spike, the head for Cerebros, and have him sit on one of these. I don't really think you can do that, but I mean basically how you create these is part forming, and that's very true of the original one. Taking a look at Grommet again, much like Gasket here, just kind of a little mobile tank. It does its job, I guess. I mean, some people are probably going to look at this and not be all that impressed, but as a G1 fan, I think it's great. Both of these have really nice colors. You can see that Gasket here has a really nice silver paint, very nice red glossy paint right there on the barrel, some black, some blue, all that kind of stuff, some silver detail put on there as well. Grommet here, same basic thing. You get a little bit more black with like the tank treads and everything, and then you plug in COG's guns here, whereas Gaskets are basically just COG's arms. That's really about it. Now, for his transformation, it's not really a transformation, as I said. It definitely is one of the original part formers from Transformers. So we're just going to remove these. There's a little bit of transformation involved in it. You want to rotate his head up and then spin that around thusly. Take these bits here and you plug them in. I mean, part forming all day long. Now, there is some actual additional cool stuff that you can do with Gasket and Grommet to attach to Sideswipe, and I'll bring that in a bit and show you that, but that's something that you can do. So take these, get him out of the way, and then you just rotate this section around like so, kind of spread that out. Then you got a little hole section here and a little peg, and you just plug that in there, and when you're done, that's it. There you have Gasket and Grommet combining to form COG. And again, Hasbro has done a terrific job updating this character that was really kind of just throwaway parts before. I mean, they wanted to get Fort Max like a little tank and a little mobile platform and everything, and they were able to put them together and make a robot out of it. What they did here really does improve upon that original concept. The overall look on this guy is spectacular. Great molded detail throughout the entire figure. Great paint detail, gorgeous silver. You got a nice little Autobot logo there. Extra silver detail here in the shoulders. The guns have a nice red paint. You also have some nice black paint on these ones. The blue looks really good. It has some black thrown in there to give it a little bit of a separation. Same down here with the legs. You got some nice blue. The treads here obviously have a little bit of coloring with the blackness, and then you got some of that red there. Just overall, I'm impressed with how it turned out. I mean, this is a little bit hollow, but all in all, very happy with how this guy turned out. Now, taking a look a little bit closer at some of the detail, I love the head sculpt on here. Taking a look at that, you can kind of see like some great sort of bits there in the mouth section. That looks really cool. Nice silver paint right there. But again, look at that molded detail throughout the entire thing. All these figures have some great detail on here. One thing that I'm noticing, there is none of that battle damage or wear paint on this guy from what I can see. So people that haven't liked that, you're not going to have to worry about it with this. A couple problems that I do have. I feel like the guns are very loose. As you can kind of see, it goes in but not all the way. It just kind of sits there. I mean, you can kind of push it down and gets a little bit tighter, but I mean it feels like it's way too loose in there, and that's true for both of them. Not so much when you use it in the like posts here. So like when you plug it in there, I mean, that stays in there fairly securely. So I don't know necessarily why the hole here is a little bit bigger, but all in all, not bad. I mean, the overall presence of them does look really very except for like the little hollow bits right there. The also part that kind of is a little unfortunate is these legs. They just peg in here. Now you'll see why this leg detaches in a minute. It's a friction kind of post. I wish that was a little bit tighter, because I feel like when you're moving it around, it has a tendency to want to come out. But it's not bad. That's just something that I wish was a little bit tighter. Like I said, these are issues that I feel maybe just indicative of my figure. So hopefully yours will be better. First articulation, the head will rotate. It's tough to get to because you got these giant things on the side, but you can move that forward and back. You can kind of move it up and down just as part of the transformation with that little chest piece, but I don't really necessarily think it's meant to be an articulation point. He rotates at a swivel here at the shoulder, and then they go in and out, but you kind of have to move this piece out to get a further range of motion with it. But I mean, as it is, it's not bad. It does rotate at the upper part of the bicep. Bends at a little bit more than 90 degrees at the elbow, nothing at the wrists. Does rotate at the waist, which is nice. The hips here do move forward and back, but again, when you're doing it, you have a tendency, you have a tendency if you go a little bit too far to pull that out. So just be careful when you're doing it, or you can use some floor polish, maybe thicken that up a little bit and get it a little bit tighter. Moves in and out, also does rotate, bends here at the knee, and then the ankles also do tilt outward, so you can get a nice wide spread for him. Now, as I talked about, the other thing about this guy is you can weaponize specifically Sideswipe here. Do some size comparisons. Deluxe class figures, you can see that scale works good. Get another little sneak peek. Here is Hound, and then let me come back a little bit even further. And here is Voyager class Optimus Prime. So you can see that the scale works pretty decent, I think. And obviously for me is going to fit very nicely as a classics kind of display item. Now, like I said, you can weaponize some figures, and that's kind of what some of the theme is here. You got the target masters that can do stuff. With COG here, you can weaponize a whole figure. So first what you want to do is separate the body. This, I'm going to show you first what is called his defensive layout. So you separate his body. We're going to take his arms off just like that. Now I want you to rotate the head around and then spin it down. Don't push it all the way because it will cause problems when you actually want to attach it. So there you have that. You can't really do anything with that. So this piece is done. Then you're going to take these legs, take them off, just like so. Set this piece off to the side, and then take these pieces here and rotate these down and in, just like that. And then what you do, you got this post here, and all of these new figures have these holes on the bottom of the feet. So like you can see those holes there. Optimus has those holes. Bringing in Hound as well. He has the holes. So you could probably do this with other figures. They just specifically show sideswipe. So you want to take this and you're going to, wait, which way? Yeah, you put this on here. So you put that on there, and then where'd the other one go? Take this one and you put this one on there, and it gives them platforms. So there you have that so far. Take this piece, and then this is what I was talking about before. Don't push the head all the way down, but you got this little peg section right here that you post this into. So you put that in there, but the head kind of has to clear the shoulder area. So make sure that that stays up just a little bit. Then you take this section here, and I think that's what you do. You take these little bits here, and yeah, so you have this kind of like that. Take these then and plug them in to where those legs were. You got that little hole section there, so you're just plugging that in there. Kind of keep the arms bent, and then position this kind of however you want, and then take this section and fold this down. Then you come around to the back, you got a little hole right there that you can then twist that in and plug that in just like that. And this is what's called his defensive mode. They also even show you taking COG's guns and plugging them in here. This is his defensive configuration. I feel like the only thing that's really defensive about him is like maybe this being a giant shield, but it's a little bit silly. Honestly, it doesn't really hinder anything. The arms still rotate this. It gets a little bit bulky up there. It makes his legs longer. You still have the tilt function of this piece, so it doesn't really take away too much from Sideswipe, but I feel like the overall idea is still a little bit weird. Now, he does have what's called an offensive layout. So I'm going to go ahead and remove all this. Pull this out. Pull this out. And it basically shows you the whole combination from the point of basically being COG. So you kind of have to go back to that original starting point for the most part. So bring this up. There we go. Plug that in. Rotate this. Plug that in. Okay, so this is what you basically have with the lower leg section. Come around to the back. You take this and lift this up. Again, this is going to be strange, but you take this and then you plug that in there, and then you fold these over like that. So now you have big giant canyon thingies there. You do have these arms that are already detached. This is the part where you take this section and you collapse this. Maybe leave that up like that. Yeah, collapse that like so, and then you fold this piece out. This becomes a big giant gun for him, in essence. But first you have to take these and then you plug these in there like that, and then you take these and you put these on the top, and there's that. And then you can have him he's not going to be able to see jack squat, so I don't know what he's going to be shooting, but you put that in there, and now he's got an additional handgun. This is what is called his offensive mode. You do have to kind of balance them because it does make him a little bit top heavy, but the joints here are really tight, which comes in handy when you're kind of putting this on there. I know that I talked about like the joints being tight on Sideswipe before, but I think maybe that was because all this extra stuff will make him kind of lean back or lean forward, as you can kind of see. So you do kind of want to just shift them back a little. But there's his offensive layout. Again, I want to say that you'll be able to do this with just about any of the figures because honestly, these things have so many ports. You can probably mix and match and come up with a lot of really crazy sort of configurations. So going back to his vehicle mode. So we're going to just take this, keep that rotated around, detach these. There's one other part in vehicle mode that I did forget to show you that I'm going to show you now. So take all this stuff off, and then you're just going to port these little dudes. Let's see what's a good look here. Port that in there like that and like that. And I like how these can angle like they're extra little guns right here. So that is kind of cool. Then this guy rotates this around, and then you have a little tab on the inside here that slots on the underside of his crotch, but because these slide down, it's a little bit tricky to do. So if you need to, just kind of slide it back and then slide it back and up. So like so. And then you take, there you go, these little guys, and you can put these right here. Now, the part that I did neglect to show you is they actually can combine in this mode as well. You have a little slot right here and a little tab. You just plug them in there, and now you have the Soul Train. The Soul Train. But there's the combine mode here, which you could just stand him up and basically almost have COG. But there is Gasket and Grommet. I kept saying Grommet. Why didn't you guys stop me before? But Gasket and Grommet. Now, like I said, it is great to get an update for this character, which, you know, a lot of people probably don't have a lot of attachment to, honestly. But I think it is cool that they decided to do it, especially since we have a Fort Max and we didn't get Gasket, Grommet, COG, all that stuff when we got Fort Max. So this is a really cool idea, and I think that maybe I'm giving them too much credit, but I'd like to think that they had this in mind when they did Fort Max. That way, we would be able to get these in some way, shape, or form. The simplicity of them is absolutely there. It is a part former through and through. The only part that really does kind of transform would be the head that rotates, and then you can do a little bit of combination. This whole section like collapses and folds together, and you can create, you know, those different little modes for Sideswipe. So he doesn't really transform. He just kind of detaches and then reattaches in different ways. But that's how the original figure was. And I think that they stayed true to it. And for a fan like myself, I'm very happy with that. Could they have updated it and given us like a completely new figure that didn't do all this stuff? Yeah, probably. But I think he's great. The robot mode, I think, looks terrific. The added detail that they put into this figure really is phenomenal. And the fact that they utilize this with other figures in terms of powering them up and weaponizing them, I think is a great concept. So, all that being said, if COG here is a figure that you'd like to add to your collection, he is hitting some retailers right now. So if you are looking for him, good luck and happy hunting. Or as always, there's places such as Big Bad Toy Store. For that, I'll put a link down in the video description where you'll go to BBTS and you can check out availability on this guy as well as the rest of the wide range of Transformer figures. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. Remember, if you like this video, I would really appreciate it, guys, if you would hit that thumbs up button. It actually does go a long way towards helping me out, and I would really appreciate it. And a huge thank you if you made it all the way to the end of this review. Another way that you can really help support my channel is making sure that you watch a video all the way through. And if you did that, thank you. Also, a huge shout out to all of my patrons, who through their continued support, now more than ever, help to make reviews like this possible. And if you would like information on how you can become a patron, feel free to check out my Patreon page at patreon.com/Optibotimus. And finally, remember, the real trouble with the world is too many people grow up. Thank you for watching and taking the time to be a kid.
You're a true blessing when we go.